What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're doing well today. We're going to be doing my full review of the Civivi Typhoeus. Let's get into it. All right, what we're going to do today is we're going to do some size comparisons, profile comparison. We'll check the weight on the Typhoeus out, and then we'll jump into my thoughts and impressions. Let's kick it off with a couple of budget knife comparisons. Here it is against the Megaron Moriarl, which I consider to be a more medium-sized knife. And then we'll bring out the Civivi Bull Tusk, and this one here being more full-sized. So let me line them up at, I guess we're calling the pivot. I'm not 100% sure. So you can see this is definitely a much smaller and compact knife overall. We'll move the Bull Tusk out of the way and we'll go ahead and bring in the Spyderco Shaman, another full-size comparison. We'll move that Moriarl out of the way and we're going to bring in the Para 3 Lightweight. And again, you can see this is definitely a much more compact knife. All right, let's do some profile comparisons real quick. This one's going to be interesting to do because I'm actually going to do it from the handle position because there's not really a close position as you see. So this is very comparable to the lightweight. Very, very similar, and the Moriarl being a more, sorry, I bumped the camera there, being a more chunky knife, you're going to see that the Moriarl is a little bit bigger. All right, let's go ahead and bring the scale out here, and let's see what this one actually weighs. I think I bumped the scale on the way over to the table. So coming in at 3.3 ounces. Now, I do also like to do weight with sheath. So you can see what it actually weigh. So 3.3 with the knife, 4.5 with the sheath. All right, let me set that sheath to the side. We'll bring that back out here in just a little bit. Let's go ahead and jump into my thoughts and impressions on this one. So this is a very unique one. I know I typically do folding knives because I do it from a perspective of everyday carry. This one being a little bit different because this is more of a self-defense slash acts as a secondary function of a fixed blade. So a little bit different. The last fixed blade I had on here was the Corvette S. I really liked that one. It really impressed me for the form factor and the size for an option to actually carry daily fairly easily a fixed blade type knife. So this was interesting to me from that regard, but it strikes me as a self-defense tool that doubles as a everyday carry fixed blade. So we'll jump into that a little bit more. Ergonomics. This thing is comfortable for the size and everything. It's very, very comfortable. The one thing that I do want to point out here while we're talking about ergos is it is a little bit unnerving if you don't realize that you kind of have to make sure that you're sandwiching the knife back here and that you're not putting a lot of strength into the front part of the knife. So if you're doing really heavy cutting or you're having to push, you can see the knife is going to want to move on you because you're kind of pushing down like you would on a knife where it's locked in and you're not really having to worry about that. So I just found, and we'll jump down to the garage here in just a moment, I found really when you lock it in here that you're able to kind of minimize the movement that you're having with the front part of the knife. As far as any type of detailed and pinch work, again, you want to make sure that you're sandwiching or squeezing more in the back for those pinch grip type cuts and that you're just very lightly on the front of the knife. So everything here pushing into the spine and then you're really lightly using the tip of this for the detailed work. And while it does have a good angle, if you're doing any type of draw cut or detailed work with this particular blade, you do have to remind you, or at least I did have to remind myself to make sure that I wasn't putting a lot of pressure onto the tip until I actually put it down. Then I could press, cut, and then when I was done, I kind of just relieved the pressure. So a little bit more thought into it just because of what it is. Now let's talk about the other position, the position that it to me primarily focuses and functions as. That's going to be the push dagger. So the push dagger here, you're all the way locked in to the top knuckle from my understanding, and again, this is my first experience with a folding push dagger. And what it does is when you grip the handle here, you're squeezing it into the locked in position and there's no movement. Like, to me, this is more secure than it is in its fixed blade position. It's a little tight for me around the knuckle here. It's very, very close. I did a little bit of testing at the cut test on a piece of cardboard just to kind of get the exposure and experience to it. And it seemed fine. I really didn't have any issues with it. Now, it does look like it has multiple washers. So it looks like there's some phosphor bronze washers here, and on the inside, let me see if I can get a flashlight because I can tell the camera's not going to pick it up. It looks like there might be uh, solid washers here on the inside, and then it appears that there's washers here on the tip, right out on the top. Let me lower this a little bit. There we go. So I don't know if the reflection is going to catch, but right here you have phosphor bronze washers, and then here you have phosphor bronze washers. And I'm guessing, yeah, and it looks like there's phosphor bronze washers in the body there. So right there. So you got phosphor bronze washers everywhere, which does kind of help minimize the movement of everything. It makes it feel stiff enough to where it's not all floppy, like everything kind of hits and stays in position. So I do appreciate that. I kind of was talking about this with my son, and I'm wondering if there would be a way to introduce some sort of like detent ball system, um, just to kind of lock it in place. Because I feel like in this position, if it had like a double detent ball that kind of helped it not feeling so floppy up here, it may be a little bit better. Or it could be that perhaps you just want to tighten up all of the pivot points a little bit more. It doesn't feel like there's any play at all. It feels solidly locked up, and I haven't messed with it, but it definitely feels much more solid in the dagger position than it does when you put it. And you see, I can't even get it to flip and stop. That's where I was thinking the detent ball might be okay. Um, or some type of lock like what they did with the gravity knife from React, the XOM. Maybe you just put one where you can lock it here, and then when you unlock it, you can kind of, flip it. So I don't know if that's something that's an option, but it would definitely feel more secure. Blade performance. Let me take you down to the garage real quick. All right, guys, we're in the garage. We got the Orpheus here. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to cut test this totally, and I'll cover grips and everything in the review, but here it is in just a quick factory edge. Yeah, I don't know, because I did just break a box down and I think it had some tape on it, but the factory edge seems okay. Let's grab a piece of cardboard. We'll go across the green. It's a little tight for me, if I'm being totally honest. While it does have good cutting geometry, a little tight for me. And then the other thing that I struggle with, as I kind of skimmed myself, is the pinch grip on this. So it wants to move. And again, I'll cover all that in the ergos. So draw cuts are a little bit of a challenge with this one. Let's see. Yeah. Let's test it on the rest of the paper and see how it does. Definitely got a nick on it. Let me just see if I can try to strop that out on this one. All right. I think we figured out where it was getting hung up at. So I think we're good to go now. I keep forgetting it's short, so if it bends, because it goes straight into that curve, it wants to slide out, and I keep wanting to push it through like it has a better flat spot than what it does. So factory edge was okay. Cutting performance was this was okay. We'll kick it back up to, actually, you know what? I did want to do a couple of little jabby cuts. So we'll just do my best to get those on screen. I don't know. Let's kick it back up to the table. I'll collect my thoughts up there and kind of let you guys know what I think about it from there. All right, so as you can see, their 14C28N is good. It had a nice factory edge. It felt like it cut well. It's a little bit more robust, and I think that's what I was experiencing when I was talking about, it felt fine in the initial cut. And then cutting afterward, it just kept like it felt like it kept sliding out. I think this is, again, as a fixed blade, serviceable, but really not meant to be like a primary knife. More, again, more self-defense, and then in a pinch, if this is all you were carrying, you could get into your packages, you could cut open whatever it is that you were needing, and you may even be able to kind of do a little bit of detailed work with it. Their 14C28N Civivi Syncut does 9CR and D2. Civivi does 14C and Nitro V. Their 14C28N is quite impressive. It is quite a good performer, and this is, again, a little bit more robust, and I think it needs to be, right? It feels like it's meant to be more of a self-defense tool, and then secondary as a cutting tool. That's really what it feels like to me. The construction's really well made. I did pick the aluminum on purpose. I wanted to see, it does make it feel more premium. I wanted to see if it did feel premium with that. And it is a very unique piece, and you could call it niche. I don't think you would be able to carry this without the sheath at all, but you could let me know in the comments if there's a way that you think that this could be carried outside of just the sheath. It's a very cool piece. It is, if you're interested in it, it's very well built. The 14C28N is done very well, and if it's just something that you think is interesting that you want to add to the collection, I can recommend it. Otherwise, I'd say either get yourself the dedicated push dagger if that's what you want, and you want that thing that's secure, because you're going to carry that in the sheath as well, or get yourself a small fixed blade. This to me is more niche. I don't think it's something, push dagger wise, again, I do feel very confident, long as you remember to squeeze. Like, I feel like it's going to do well with that. It doesn't feel like it wants to move at all, but there is that, potential that it could move, but it would be going up, not down. Like, when it gets to this point, it stops. So it'd be just that it would be going up into this knuckle here. The one that I said that already feels like it's a snug point. For the fixed blade piece of it, again, serviceable, but I wouldn't recommend like this being your primary knife. This would, be secondary in a pinch kind of thing, in my opinion. Let me know what you think about the Orpheus down in the comments below. Do you like it? Don't you like it? Is it interesting? And let me know if there's any questions about anything that I may have missed in this review, so I can make sure I get those answered for you. Shout out to everyone out there that likes, comments, uses the links, and is subscribed. I appreciate all the support. I love you guys. I hope you have a fantastic week. Until next time, peace.